Good evening. Welcome, everybody. Hope everyone's having a great night. I'm excited that I finally got a monitor up here on the desk so I can see the chat a little easier. Yeah, it's feeling a little more cramped up here now, but better cramped. Better than having everything cramped on a tiny laptop screen. We'll give everybody a second to get in here. What have you guys been up to this week? Anything exciting? I'm just getting everything fired up. Deanna's still in bar studies. Oh. Rode your bike. Rode your bike. That's good. I'm not sure if that's a troll, but bike riding's awesome. If that's a troll, that's a horrible troll. All right, guys. Lines are getting opened as we speak. If it's your first time here, this is Anonymous Live, where we take calls for the next couple hours or so. We'll be taking calls from nobody knows who, because we don't ask, and if you do tell us who you are, we toast you. It sounds like this when you get toasted, and so please, we don't love hearing that sound here. Please just, if you call in tonight, give yourself anonymity so we can talk about whatever needs to come up, and the point of the anonymity is to keep you feeling comfortable, and also to make sure that you never say something that you wouldn't want associated with your identity later down the road. So keep it anonymous. You can call in and we'll talk. We'll have a conversation. I'm also feeling, chat, tell me how you feel about this. I'm thinking that, and I've been thinking about this for a few weeks now, and I'm not sure if I want to commit to this, but I'm thinking about trying a time limit for the calls. How would you guys feel about that if we tried that tonight? Like a 30-minute time limit. Just because sometimes people call in and, we get into so many details, and people, of course, are always welcome to call back. So that's kind of my logic in thinking about implementing a time limit of 30 minutes. I'm going to sit here and wait for some feedback on that. But yeah, I think 30 minutes would be a good amount of time for us to have like a real conversation, but also enough to encourage people to keep on track and to really think about what it is they want to spend the time talking about when they do call in. So we might try that tonight. In fact, yeah, everybody's agreeing. So let's try that. Tonight, we're going to be doing a 30-minute time limit on the calls. And hopefully that goes well. Of course, people are always welcome to call back, so I'll try to make that clear. Okay. I'm seeing phone lines are open, but something looks weird. I'm going to reboot. I am dealing with a new setup here with the monitors. So, it looks kind of funny when I'm looking at this monitor, doesn't it? It looks like I'm like looking at my wall. Maybe I should move this into frame a little bit. I don't know. It looks like I'm staring at my wall. I think it's better than looking down, though. Phone lines are rebooting. Stand by, guys. Slow start today. We had a beautiful episode Sunday night. Anybody here from Sunday night? We have any repeat viewers? I believe Deanna was here. I see Deanna's name in the chat. I'm curious, how many of you make every stream or try to make every stream? Or if it's an easier question to answer, how many of these do you guys try to make a week? Okay, phone lines are open and working now. I'm going to go ahead and start answering calls. I will review that in the chat later, though. Hi, thanks for calling.
Hey, how's it going, Julian?
I'm well. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good, doing good.
Good. So what's on your mind?
Well, so I actually called a couple months back. I don't know if you remember. I called about my narcissistic ex, and I know you get a lot of calls about those. But she was the one that when I was moving my stuff out, and she brought her ex over. Do you recall that?
I don't recall that. It's it's nothing personal. It's part of the reason we give you anonymity. But if you jog my memory, if it's relevant, you can feel free to jog my memory on who you were. I also do want to just inform you. I'm going to be tonight. We're testing a 30-minute time limit on the calls, just to help in hopes of keeping the chat on track and focused around whatever it is. So I wanted to mention that up front, that we're going to go for 30 minutes here. We're going to try that tonight. But jog my memory a little bit about, we do get a lot of calls from people dealing with narcissists. So you mentioned that you were moving out and this girl brought her ex-boyfriend over while you were moving out. Is that what you said?
Yeah, exactly. And then she had, just to go through, I found out that she had gotten engaged and moved out of town to another guy, and there were all these different layers. I know you had recommended Psychopath 3 to me.
Okay. Great
We
book.
talked about Dr. Ramani as well in the call.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if any of that is jogging your memory, but
did you read the books?
Anyway, well, I picked up Psychopath 3. I haven't jumped into it yet. Actually, I'm doing a lot better with all of that, and it's kind of, I've sorted through a lot of it, so I'm kind of turning my focus on other things now, which is I think a positive thing.
Okay. Okay. Good. So what's the reason for the call tonight?
Well, so what I kind of want to talk about is I've been kind of putting a focus more on my social life in the past, really in the past couple weeks, and I'm finding that it's been good. I've been going out and just kind of interacting with different people, and I've always kind of struggled with improving my social life and my dating life really too. And it's been good, but it's been a little bit slow. And something that I'm finding is that I guess that I'm finding that I'm getting too attached to the results rather than just kind of enjoying the process. And so it's been easy for me to, I don't know, maybe, I don't want to say beat up on myself for not like seeing the results that I would like to, or like if I'm a little bit awkward, for example, or if something doesn't go exactly as I would have liked it to, I find it easy to kind of like get down on myself for it, if that makes sense.
Right. So you're getting too caught up in some goals you have for your social life. You're getting more caught up on the goals than the enjoying the process. What does that look like?
Well, it's interesting because with the other areas of my life, I kind of went through this a couple of years ago, like with pursuing career goals and self-development goals and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of know, like I said, my social life is something that I've always struggled with, and so I'm kind of applying those lessons to this area of my life that I've put off dealing with.
What would you say the struggle is?
I've been able to kind of what the internal thoughts are,
mm-hmm.
And it hasn't deterred me from going out and continuing to improve those things.
What are those specific struggles with your social life? It sounds like something you've been dealing with for a while. So what? Can you give us some clarity on what kinds of things you feel hold you back, or what the issues are?
Yeah, I think when I was growing up, I was pretty awkward, and just kind of like I had friends, but it was we were all a little bit awkward and didn't really like put ourselves out there much, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I always I don't know exactly what it was, but I always wanted to be like the kind of person that could just like go up and talk to people,
Mm-hmm.
and that was something that, like, especially like overcoming like approach anxiety is something that today I'm still kind of working through that. And so I don't know if it's like well, I don't know, it may be like an afraid of what people will think of me thing, which is, I deal with that less so now than I used to, I think, but it's still, I think I'm very comfortable with like who I am when I'm by myself, but expressing that to other people I find is a little bit, I struggle with that a little bit sometimes.
Okay. So would you say you're self-conscious? Would you say you're self-deprecating or self-loathing or insecure, or any of these feeling right?
I would say insecure more so, maybe. I mean, it's interesting because like the dynamic that I'm finding is I'm totally comfortable with myself when I like with myself, but it's just like I said, expressing that to other people is sort of where that insecurity kind of creeps in.
Do you compare yourself to others?
I think I can sometimes, like mainly if there's like a skill that someone else has that I would like to develop. If I'm not getting it quick enough, maybe that's where that comparison can come into play. Something that I've thought of over the years though is like that's someone else's story though, and we all kind of develop these things at different rates.
That's right. Okay, so what do you think would make this a good call? I mean, where do you want to take this? What do you want to focus on? Do you want to ask questions to the chat and me about feeling socially awkward, or how to feel better about yourself? And are you looking for feedback, or do you want to just vent, or what would be helpful?
Yeah, I think if anyone has advice on like becoming more social and improving social skills and stuff like that, like I said, I've been going out pretty regularly and trying to like setting small goals. Like I'm not at the point where I can just like go up to some random person and talk to them. But kind of working up to that is where I'm at right now. And so I don't know if anyone has any suggestions on how to really develop those skills.
Yeah. So chat, there it is. Feel free to fire away with anything that has helped you socially. I can speak here from, Michael Lowry says practice makes perfect. I think that's right. One of the things that helped me when I was young, I mean, I don't even know if this can be considered advice because it's not advice. But I feel like, from my own experience, I was doing prank videos and stuff with my friends, and in my entire teen years were spent doing pranks in public. And so I just got really desensitized to strangers and what they were thinking of me, because I'm just literally they're making a fool of myself in public. So I wonder if there is something to glean from that, like maybe doing some. I mean, if you sound like fairly adult, so it might not be. You might not have a good reason to go out, and I'm not suggesting you go prank people necessarily to get over that, but like cracking jokes with people is a great entryway for conversation. Something that I don't know if you think you're funny, if you're a funny person or not, but a joke is a great way to, if you can get someone to laugh. Laughter is, it's what do they call it? It's like pre-linguistic or something. I can't remember the term. The term is escaping me, but it's basically like a loss for words. When somebody laughs, it's like there's no words. And so laughter, if you can find your way to laughter in a conversation early on, that can be a great way to break the ice a little bit. Mackenzie Lewis from the chat says to you, I think starting with finding something that interests you and finding others with the same interest could make it easier to take that first step, automatically having something in common. I do think that's right. Common interests can go a long way. Of course, like if you're meeting someone, you don't know what their interests are. So questions, leading questions or open-ended questions can be a great way to get people to open up about themselves. People like talking about themselves. So if you want to go up to a stranger and get them talking about themselves, ask them about the things they like, ask them about the things they care about, ask them about convictions they have. and, just signal to them that you're an open-minded person that's genuinely curious, and you're not looking to like size them up or anything, but you're interested and you're curious. That can go a long way if people feel like there's genuine interest in their interests. Let's see here, going through some more suggestions. Shy Spire says, I tend to worry about the anxiety after the process of trying to talk to someone, but I don't really try anymore and rarely did before enough to be considered decent at socializing. Yeah, I think there's some typos in there, but I get the point. There's a lot of great ideas here in the chat, honestly. You might review these later after the call, but are any of these new thoughts or ideas, or is any of this seeming helpful or fruitful for you?
Yeah, definitely. I think specifically, so for a little context about myself, so I'm pretty involved with, I do some work for some local political campaigns and whatnot, and so something that I've been doing is door knocking for those campaigns. And that's kind of desensitized me a little bit, but the dynamic that I'm finding within myself now is like, if I have a reason to go talk to someone, it's a lot easier for me to do that. And so I've been able to overcome that with, by doing door knocking.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's just like a random person that I want to go talk to, it's kind of like, I don't really feel like there's a reason for me to talk to them aside for like me to just want to talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where it kind of finding a good starting point. But I think that you're right that asking questions and just like probably just going with a sense of consent is probably a good way to approach that.
Yeah, that's a good point about having a reason to talk to someone. If you have a reason to talk to someone, this is why a lot of people can have no problem with like public speaking or acting on a stage in front of people, but these people can still have a lot of social anxiety. In fact, a lot of actors do have a lot of social anxiety, even though they're able to get up and on a stage and perform. And I think a lot of it is because of what you just said. Like, there's sometimes you can feel like you're lacking a good reason for the conversation. A good reason for a conversation can simply be that you want to, you want to be true to yourself as a human, and humans are mammals. We're social creatures, and that's actually how we get by in civilization. It's the only reason civilization exists is because we have done a really good job of continuing to be good mammals, and it's like an oversimplification, of course. Like, a lot of people don't want to be called an animal, and I'm not trying to do that. But the point is that like that instinct is in you to be social and to collaborate and to be valuable in your little social bubble, and to be valuable to your friends. So a good enough reason for a conversation can simply be that you want to introduce yourself and see if there's any way for some kind of value to be brought about through a relationship, whether it's work or just being friends, and taking the first step and giving someone your name, or a business card can be a great way. If you're at a networking event, business card's a great icebreaker. You're giving them something, so if they need something in the future that you can do, you give it to them, and then you're taking that first step by giving them a business card. But in general, work or not, introducing yourself and asking questions, open-ended questions that encourage the person to open up. Not yes or no questions. You don't want to ask a question they can say yes or no to. You want to ask an open-ended question that they have to use some words to answer. And you ask a couple of those, before you know it, you're in a really interesting conversation. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's helpful, but for me it helps, especially if I get forced to go to some networking events and stuff, and I don't love going to those all the time. Sometimes they're fun if I know people there, but it's like nobody wants to be in a room where they don't know anybody. Like, that's not fun for everybody. Maybe not nobody wants that, but a lot of people don't like that. So, I've been there, is what I'm trying to say, and I that thought helps me that there's nothing wrong. Like, it's perfectly fine to go introduce yourself to someone and see if there's anything possible from a conversation, whether it's work or just being friends or even dating.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the other. So I guess I kind of look at like my social life and my dating like life. They're related, but they're separate, and that's kind of the other aspect of like my dating life. I've put even less time into, which was how I ended up with my covert narcissist ex. Was there were a lot of cues that I didn't recognize. And so that's part of what's motivating me too, is I'm meeting a variety of different people and I guess um, paying attention to like character stuff like that
Right.
and those sort.
Right. How old are you?
I just turned 26.
26. Okay. Yeah. You're coming into your late 20s, so this is there's a lot of developmental stuff happening. You're you're going to be I think questioning this kind of stuff is really natural. You're coming into the age where your 20s are not over, but your 20s are a place where you're just kind of like this wild ball of potential and experimentation. And your 30s, are about kind of taking what you've learned from that experimentation and learning to, you only have so much time in life and in any given day. So for me, at least, and a lot of my friends who are in their 30s, are the 30s are about, being a little less spontaneous, a little less wild and crazy, and using what you've learned to channel your energy into productive outlets, so that you're not, you've got to have. Everybody needs some creativity time, or some time to go be wild or crazy or whatever they want to do. People need some time to cut loose. But your 20s are about that a lot more, because you don't have as much structure in your life, unless a lot of 20-year-olds are busy going to college and stuff like that, of course. But
Right.
my point is that it's really, just know that it's natural to be asking these kinds of questions at this age, and I hope that's encouraging to know that it's really normal. You're trying to figure out how to carry yourself as someone who's an adult now. You're coming into like a real life adult. So I think these are good questions to be asking.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that. It's just like I said, I think the main thing is just overcoming that. Like, because I find that I do connect with people pretty well. In fact, something that I'm finding to be consistent is when I'm able to, like, when I meet someone that I really click with, I'm able to have like 3 to 4 hour conversations with them sometimes, like if the time allows. So it's not really like, it's just sort of that like approach that's sort of like the main roadblock, I think, for me.
Okay. And are you still asking that question here, or have we given you some good food for thought on how to approach people? Do you want to talk more about it? We definitely can. I'm just trying to make sure I'm on the track you want me to be on.
Um, I'll have to go through the chat. Yeah, I've got it open, but yeah, I think I don't know. I probably should have thought a little bit more before I called in on the specific direction I wanted to go, but
Does it help
yeah.
you to think about yourself as a social creature, that's literally all you can do? We're all hardwired to uh, we all have that drive to, nobody wants to be alone all the time. Living in complete isolation would be horrible. So, and does it help you with your approach, in at least thinking about your approach as someone who just is hardwired for that? And does that relieve any of the pressure from you to approach a stranger? Uh,
Yeah, I think so. I mean, um, and in all honesty, I've been thinking about, because like from an evolutionary perspective, like you said, we're social animals, and early on, in civilization, the tribe was very important. And I think that like more on a subconscious level, when I was growing up, when I was in my like preteen years and my teenage years, I was always very worried about being like kicked out of the group or the tribe, so to speak. Um, and so I think that there was some anxiety from that thought.
hmm,
But also I think that now recognizing that that's what it was, and thinking about, well, we are by our nature social creatures, and that's how we've survived for so long. That does make it a lot easier to talk to people,
right,
and approach.
and of course you'll spend the rest of your life figuring out, you know, how you approach someone. That's a never-ending, or how you carry yourself in a conversation. That's a never-ending evolution process as well. So, you might conduct conversations one way now, and then in 10 years it might look totally different. In 10 years, it'll probably look a lot different, because you age, different. Your interests change, your perspective changes, and I think we're never completely static. I don't think we ever settle in fully into a version of ourselves that is us. I think that this might continue to change forever for you, probably.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with that. And I think it's a skill set like anything else, too.
Right.
And picking up, especially learning to read like social cues and those sorts of things. But like you said too, our life experiences kind of change how we approach social interactions and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe you have a couple of, as a warm-up, maybe you just think of a couple good opening jokes to make in a conversation, and then use them in rotation if you want, as a warm-up. And, over time, those kinds of things can get easier to the point where you can kind of kick the training wheels off. You can kind of kick some of the, some of these kinds of ideas out and just freewheel it. But there's no shame in, having, if it's anything that makes you nervous, keeping some kind of list of helpful things to remember or best practices for yourself. There's no shame in that. It can be a great way to kind of direct yourself down a path of thinking, and then those things just get easier the more and more you do them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
And stand-up comedians tell the same jokes every night. That's why they tell you not to record the show. Because I have guys, we only have so many jokes. It's like that's the reason you don't record a stand-up set. It's actually crazy watching some of my favorite stand-up comedians on YouTube. Now you can just watch all that stuff, all the specials and everything. It's so crazy hearing how many times the same jokes get used. But yeah, even these people keep lists of jokes. So you can totally use that if it helps you in a social setting. Maybe that's something you could consider doing. Or I'm just spitballing here, trying to think of what would help me if I were in that mental space. I hope we're giving you anything valuable. I hope any of this is helpful. Certainly don't want to waste your time.
No, it definitely is. No, yeah, thanks for all the advice you're providing. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's some other stuff in the chat that you could revisit when we're off the call.
Yeah, totally. I don't know. I guess what my intention with calling too is, I don't know. I think that where I'm at is it's just going to be, like I said, because it's a skill.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to take consistent going out continuously and just talking to people. But definitely keeping those things in the back of my brain, having certain specific questions that I go to right off the bat, or just keeping things in mind is going to be really important for improving that.
Right. Yeah. Well, keep up the practice. It sounds like you're motivated. I'm glad to hear that you're motivated, because some people call in and they're like, I don't even know why I'd want to, some people call them with antisocial tendencies and stuff. And that can be, I don't know what that's like, but I'm glad to hear that this is something you want and you're chasing it. And I believe if you keep it up, you're going to become a master conversationalist before you know it. I'm glad to hear the determination. I think that's really healthy.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I think a lot of that motivation just stems from my last relationship and just how it ended, and how, like I said, I've processed a lot of what happened, and I've worked through a lot of that, but there still was a level of pain that I experienced that really is motivating me so that I don't end up in a similar situation down the road.
Right.
And, learning to set boundaries with people and those types of things.
That's good. Yeah, that's a delicate balance. You don't want to undo some hard lessons you've learned. Those things will also serve you well in life. So, this is, see, I sense you're kind of on this tightrope, and that'll get easier. Just keep on keeping on.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I don't know. Like I said, I probably should have had a bit more of a plan when I called in, but I think I'm gonna let you go so you can call more people here.
All right, no
Or
worries.
have more people.
I thought it was a great reason for a call. Thanks for calling again, and wishing you the best. I hope to hear from you again. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, thanks you too, Julian, and thanks for putting this together again as well.
Of course. Good night.
Night.
Yeah, that's a great question. I thought that was a great call. Okay, guys, lines are opening again. Let's get them up. I'm working on, this is a spoiler. I'm working on some musical elements we can use here during times where we're waiting. I feel like I've been keeping that in the bag, but I feel like I gotta just tell you guys because it's taking me a little bit longer to finish these things with all that's on my to-do list right now. But I am working on some fun musical elements that we're gonna incorporate here to, there's lots of silence, lots of waiting. It's just begging for some fun music here and there to kind of cleanse the palate, break the silence, give you something to listen to while I'm sitting here farting around with technology. So that will be coming, some fun elements we can incorporate. I'm not sure if this phone system likes my new setup. It's just a monitor. Okay, yeah, it's working. Now the calls are coming. Okay, great. Here we go. Diving back in. Hi, thanks for calling.
It's just a monitor.
Hello?
Hi, thanks for calling.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm all right tonight. Can you turn your speakers down? I'm getting a little feedback.
Oh, sure. Actually, how about now?
Yeah, just mute it. I'm here on the phone. You'll hear me.
Okay.
We'll have a conversation. The chat will be there for you later after the call. We'll have a better conversation if it's just a normal phone call. So, yeah.
How am I coming through now?
Hear you loud and clear. Thank you. What
Perfect.
brings you to call tonight?
Well, first off, big fan. Just recently discovered this, and this is really cool. But personally in my life, I am recently kind of falling into the discovery of the power of people and trying to get people motivated toward a common goal or just being a light in people's lives that people gravitate toward. I know you've led quite a few films and was curious on your take on how to get people to work together and more importantly, how to keep a positive attitude throughout the working environment. People come up with ideas, people have problems, but you as a leader, you need to try and maintain positive and not come across harsh. Sometimes you do have to, but you don't want to like permanently ruin your reputation. But you still want to keep people moving toward the goal. So how did you manage that, and how do you currently manage that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love listening to Jocko Willink talk about effective leadership and extreme ownership. Are you familiar with Jocko Willink?
I am not.
Oh, man, this guy's amazing. Man, I can't even do this guy's biography justice. Give me a second. I'll pull up some Jocko Willink stuff to toss around. He had one of my favorite things he's ever made is, what was it called? Was it called Psychological Warfare? It's a spoken word album, and it's hilarious and amazing and full of thought-provoking questions and themes. Let's see, Jocko Willink. He's written books. He's part of his business now is teaching effective leadership to large companies. He's an American author, podcaster, retired United States Navy officer who served in the Navy SEALs and is a former member of SEAL Team 3. Just got a crazy accomplished guy. and has a bunch of amazing books on leadership. He talks a lot about, he was on, where did I hear this? Must have been on a podcast. I think I heard him on, oh man, I can't remember which podcast he talked about this on, but he talked about when he was in the Navy SEALs, when he was leading, he talked about leading. Too many leaders get caught up in telling people what to do, or doing people's jobs for them if it's not satisfactory. And he talks a lot about a good leader is someone who knows how to hire the right people for the job, so that you're not double working, spotting the right person for the job and then trusting them to just go do that job, so that all you have to say as a leader is execute or hold. And he talks at length on this podcast. It might have been Rogan I heard this on, because it was a fairly long podcast, if I remember. You might check him out on Rogan. I think he's been on there a few times. I'm not up on podcasts, but he talks about a good leader just has to say execute and hold or wait, and you don't fart around with getting in the weeds on what people should be doing, or how they're doing their job, unless some course correction might be necessary from time to time, of course, but the point is, like, don't hire people that are gonna make the work harder. Hire the right people for the right job, and then just let them do it. Trust them, because you can trust that you hired the right person. So he talks a lot about ideas like that. I don't want to get too in the weeds on like running a company necessarily, because I don't want to give you like business advice or anything, but it's a great question, how to build team mentality. Jocko Willink, I'm referencing him because he's got a lot of great stuff you could read about that. Books. I'm trying to think of which book of his. You might check out Extreme Ownership. What other books has he written that were on this? There's a book specifically about leader on he has. I'm struggling to remember the title of it. But you just look up Jocko Willink and look at his titles are really good. His book titles are really good. So you'll know, when you see the right book. But he is, I'm not doing his biography justice. I'm really sorry. I'm not up on him, but I love hearing him. I love hearing him talk about this. But also, specifically just, part of what I hear your question being is, how do you get, how to get people excited about a vision? And that's ultimately, people won't work for something they don't believe in. People won't work for something that seems aimless or like it's not going anywhere. People want to do things that are going to go places and fix problems and ask good questions. And so, I think leading is about, in that kind of a context, if it's like project or something, people want to know that there's a strong vision, and people want to feel that they want to feel compelled to support that vision. So as a leader, you got to give people good reason to listen and to believe in what you're doing, and of course, listening. Jocko talks a lot about listening, and again, going back to the idea of making sure you're hiring the right people, so that you aren't wasting your time listening, and making sure that you're listening to the right people for the right reasons. A good leader listens. A good leader knows how to concede. A good leader knows how to apologize if there's been an error. A good leader is not afraid to do these things, because this is how you keep morale up in a group that's working on something together. So there has to be a sense of trust, and there has to be a sense of that they can trust you. And then if you've got the right vision and people believe in the project, then the rest is just going to fall right into place. But I think a lot of leaders do get hung up on, like, I'm the boss, or I said do this or not that, and just like getting these little riffs. And I see a lot of time wasted that way. Way better to just listen. I'm not sure if any of these are answering the question, but these are the things I think about when I think about leadership and how to run an effective project.
Awesome. Thank you. No, it's a pretty open-ended kind of question, because there's a lot of different approaches.
Right.
There's just a lot of different mentality around how to do things. It gets very complicated, and it's all very like high. It can go like super high level, and then you start working your way down into like the micromanaging area, which sometimes, like you were saying, intervention is necessary. But it's all about finding that balance. And I'm kind of in my career, kind of stepping into the leadership position more and more, and I keep facing a few issues. But one recently that I was facing is being prepared. having enough figured out
Right.
to be able to provide direction and the correct, provide direction. Because it gets to the point where I am creating work and then it's going great. We're knocking it out. But next thing you know, there's no more work because I didn't stay far enough ahead of the train, or I find it hard to keep staying ahead because people are ultimately awesome. They're incredible and they're super hardworking. I am struggling to stay in front. How did you, in your various leadership positions with filming, etc., how did you prepare everything to delegate and let people work? That's really interesting. I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, delegation is another huge variable that's really important. You got to know when to delegate. There's a lot of good. Elon Musk has a lot of good thoughts on delegation and what kinds of things you should handle yourself and what kinds of things you should delegate. So you might check out some of the Elon Musk's quotes on that kind of process. I mean, I'm happy to share some of my own wisdom or thoughts there, but a guy like Elon running like major companies and many of them, he's. I would be quoting a lot of stuff I've heard from that guy. So I'm trying to reference people. I try to reference some directions or people or books or resources during these calls because we have a limited time to do these, and I don't want to get bogged down like in the weeds of. I try to give some leave behinds. So I'm trying to give you some leave behinds of some directions you could look for good inspiration here with the time we have. But I think. Delegation, again, you got to make sure you're hiring the right people. So much, this actually, somebody in the chat said this. I like this quote. Who said this? Hire tough, manage easy. That comes from Mackenzie Lewis. I'm not sure if that's your quote, Mackenzie, or somebody else said that, but that's a great quote. You got to hire tough, and then it makes managing easier. And then you got to feel like you can trust the person that you're delegating work to. So, if you hire the wrong person, that trust is not going to be there, and it's going to be apparent really quickly that you can't delegate to this person. So, delegation is an art in and of itself. It's in my experience, it's never been the exact same. There's never been like a philosophy of delegation that I've committed to all in, but because some jobs are simpler, some tasks take less time to perform than others, and some jobs include like several very quick tasks, and some of them require a few very long-term tasks. And so, delegation can look differently project to project and role to role. But, again, I would just say, learning to spot talent, learning to spot the right person for the right job, that's an art that'll take time and experience. And, don't be afraid to press some buttons. Don't be afraid to press the wrong button. If you press the wrong button, you say, sorry, whoops, now we know why we don't touch that button. That's how I've learned pretty much everything in life, is just seeing, oh, look, there's a button. What does it do? Whoa, whoops, we don't press that button. So that's how I learned. And, I don't know what that says about me. But that's what better way to learn than to mess something up. And not that you want to mess it up, but I mean, this live stream, sometimes I come on and I've bumped a cable and people can't hear me for 30 seconds. So you're talking to the guy who's the least prepared streamer on YouTube. Maybe I rush into things, but learning to delegate's an art form that will take time. How old are you?
I am 28. Gosh, do you get to that point where you have to like think back and be like, how old am I? It's a great question.
Yeah.
I am 28.
Okay. Yeah. A lot of this I'm sensing from your questions, you're learning the art of who to trust and who to hire, and honestly, like, all of these things become super easy the more talent you're working with, the more the right people are in the right seats, the easier all this stuff gets. That's why I referenced Jocko Willink right out of the gate at first when you asked the question, because I totally believe that one philosophy is right. That, I mean, it's just math. If you hire the wrong person for the wrong job, they're going to create more problems, and then the actual problems they're there to solve won't get solved, and then you'll just have a dozen other problems. And so, learning to spot talent, no one can put into words. I don't think anybody can put into words how to spot that talent. That just takes time and experience and intuition, instinct, and so I think it's great that you're in this new season where you're being kind of pushed into the deep end of the pool a little bit to just kind of figure it out. Sounds like you've recently stepped into a leadership role or are stepping into one. So I would just say step in. If that's on the table, then you're not there for no reason. And, you just continue to prove that by doing the work and owning mistakes. If you make mistakes, own them. And slowly through time and experience, you'll learn what kinds of talent you're looking for and what kinds of people make your life easier and what kinds of people make more work. So, and an email is work. If a person causes too many emails to go around or too many messages to be responded to, then like that's an example of a bad hire. A good worker, a good team member is someone who has team mentality and is going to work to diligently solve the problem at hand and try to avoid confusion and causing more problems at all costs. And a lot of leaders are bad at that. I've worked with a lot of people that I've seen aren't very good at that. And I've been fortunate to work with some real pros that are masters at this on a level that I'll probably never understand. Some of these people that I look up to and admire are just like, wow, like watching them do their work, I'm just blown away. So, I do believe that leaders become better leaders with time, and you probably will make some mistakes at the beginning, and that's okay. Don't be afraid to press some buttons. Don't be afraid to say, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I learned. I won't do that again. I'm learning is a great phrase in your position to acknowledge to people if something happens, like just saying, I'm learning this task. I'm learning this skill, and I'm sorry. Those words can do wonders and build a lot of trust for the team that you're managing. So I'm just trying to think of little things that have helped me, and those are some of them. And there's also some other good things from the chat I'll look through here while I turn this over to you. But are these the kinds of things you're looking for? Is this helpful?
Yeah, this is exactly right up the alley. It's so dynamic. There's just many different takes on every aspect of it. So as the conversation just kind of naturally, meanders, you're hitting on just many, many other questions and areas of concern that I have. So, I'm loving this. This is fantastic. Now, in a perfect world, you hire the right people and it makes life easy, but the world isn't perfect, and sometimes you're not in charge of hiring people, so you're given a team of unique individuals. So obviously you have the whole storming scenario where you have to have that team development, and everyone has a different personality. Everyone works at different paces. So trying to, I guess I'm just kind of rambling here, is just letting those people do whatever they need to do to be productive, but at the same time, I feel like I'm having to go around and kind of tugging on some reins, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Give us an example.
I feel like they're starting to go in different directions.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Because like you were saying, the email thing, sometimes just creating an abundance of messages is it's a small thing, but it plays a mental toll for everyone else, right? You get a notification, the notification fatigue. You just keep getting notification. So that slowly has like a prolonged impact on the whole team.
Right.
So trying to, all right, what do you do to that person, right? Hey, stop being you and stop being you and don't message as much.
Be someone else. Can you be someone else?
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
You're like John in HR, that guy. I don't know. It's pretty interesting way to manage different personalities.
If someone's sending too many emails, you might meet with that person privately so as not to embarrass them, and have a conversation about effective communication. Effective communication is a weird phrase because it's like people just take communication for granted. We take language for granted. We don't think about how our words come across. There are entire books written on these ideas. It's very dense and complicated because perspective is dense and complicated, and the world's full of chaos. Effective communication is a big problem. A lot of people don't communicate effectively, especially in this digital world, which is this crazy experiment we're living in. Like who knows what all these emails do to us? Who knows what all these, even something like Slack, which is a great solution to email, is still can be very overwhelming. It sounds like you might need to have a conversation about what effective communication looks like in a very gentle way. It's delicate. You're going to have delicate conversations as a leader where you don't want to accuse the person of anything. You want to inspire and motivate and embolden that person to see a growth opportunity where you can give them a little seed. You can't do the work for them. You can't hold their hand like a baby, nor would you want to, nor would they want you to. But you can give them a little seed, a little nugget of inspiration to recognize a growth opportunity that will enrich their own lives and enrich the project and bolster morale and the spirit of teamwork. So, it sounds like you might have to. Sounds like some difficult conversations might be coming soon. Positioning yourself in positioning yourself where you're not surprised, you're not accusatory, you're not on edge. It's just chill. It's just, I noticed, it seems like XYZ is concerning to you, and there's a lot of emails going around, or, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I'm trying to give you an idea of how you can open that conversation up in a way that they're not like, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble, or like, have I said something wrong? Everybody's afraid of getting canceled today. So as chill and zen as you can be in that conversation where nothing's rocked your boat, nothing's surprised you, nothing's caught you off guard. You're just, I'm going to be the kind of leader where I'm going to point out my own flaws, and I'm going to challenge people that are members of this team to always be working on themselves, to become better, more satisfied and fulfilled with themselves, so that they can come to work and do better work. Because people don't do better work when they're feeling in them, or if they're questioning what people think of them. And you're going to be the leader that isn't surprised by things, isn't fazed by things, and will relentlessly fight for people to come give their best. And your energy in a conversation like that can make all the difference. It can be.
That's very true. That is very true.
Yeah. So these are great questions.
Well, hey, listen. Yeah, I appreciate it. I'll kind of wrap this up. I think we're touching near the 30-minute mark, but I very much enjoyed this, and thank you so much for hosting this podcast. I'll reach out online and look at the Jocko Willink.
Yeah, look at psychological warfare. He has an episode of Psychological Warfare where he's talking about eating donuts that people bring into the office. It is so funny. He's like, I'm not going to do this justice, but he's like, they bring in, he's got this big voice. He's like a Navy SEAL. This guy's like 300 pounds of muscle, probably. He's like a massive guy. He's like, it happens every Monday. They bring in donuts, and somebody's bought a box of damn donuts to the office, and they're telling him, you got to eat them. Yeah, it's your fault if you don't eat them. You're wasting this gift they've brought to the office. And it's like basically this inner monologue, this guy who's trying to not eat the donuts. And he's like, you eat that donut, you're a pansy. And he's like insulting you for thinking about eating the donut. You just got to listen to it. It's amazing. That whole project of his is like a series of motivational, inspirational, spoken word bits that are just amazing. I love it so much. I want to listen to it now. Maybe we'll just spend the rest of the show tonight listening to Jocko Willink's Psychological Warfare album.
On your lead, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for calling tonight. Take care of yourself. Wishing you the best.
Absolutely.
Good night.
Thanks. See ya.
Okay. Great questions tonight. Great conversations. Amazing. All right, guys, lines are opening again. Man, this desk is getting too full of technology now. I've got water up here. I've got microphones and monitors now. Getting a little risky. Hi, thanks for calling.
Hey,
Hello.
I'm calling my car phone, but I have some questions for you.
Okay.
We're trying to have some like family over, and we just can't figure the racist coffee issue.
Toast. Okay. I had a feeling that was a troll when he said calling from the car phone. Who says car phone? That's why I made a video called car phone. All right, let's see. Lines are opening again. Honestly, it's kind of a drag when that kind of toast happens, because then we got to open the lines back up. That's toast count. That. Hi, thanks for calling.
Hi.
Hello. What's on your mind?
Hello. So recently I've been kind of feeling like my decisions like aren't mine.
Mm.
Like I have a bunch of good things happen in my life, and somehow I end up ruining them.
Mm.
And like it just seems like my mistakes are inevitable, and I kind of just want to figure out like how I can change that.
Okay. Can we start with your age? How old are you?
I turned 20 in February.
Okay. So, are you self-sabotaging? Do you feel you mentioned that you feel you tend to mess up good things that happen to you. Do you do that in other aspects of your life? Do you tend to self-sabotage, or where was that idea coming from?
Yeah, I kind of sabotage like friendships and relationships, and I kind of switch jobs a lot. I'm between jobs.
Okay.
Um,
How's your relationship with your parents?
it's good. Not so good with my mom. I mean, I talk to her, but it's just not as strong as it used to when I was little.
Mm-hmm. Did they not
But with my
treat you
dad,
great, or
it's good.
what was the rub?
What was
I said, did they not? Was your home not a safe environment growing up, or what was the rub?
that? Yeah, my mom and dad just fought a lot, and I eventually started to move in with my grandparents for a little bit. But as I grew older, I kind of grew back to talking to my dad.
Okay. Well, you mentioned that you tend to ruin your friendships. I'm wondering what that looks like. Do you have close friends in your life still that you've managed to maintain, or is it all?
Yeah,
Are you having like a ground zero moment, or?
I've had one friend around almost my entire life since like elementary school,
Okay.
and like I'm really grateful for that. Even though we have fell out before a few times, but he's always came back around.
Okay. So what kinds of how do you feel you're messing your life up? Is this you mentioned sounds like this is a kind of far-reaching problem for you. If you're mentioning you don't stay in one job for too long, and it sounds like a lot of friendships haven't gone the way you've wanted. So is this a pattern? It sounds like it's a pattern in your life.
Yeah, about like the past 10 years, it's kind of been like that. Like since like high school started, it's been kind of repetitive.
Do you believe in yourself? Do you like the person you're becoming?
Um, I like some things about myself. Like I like the way I'm starting to like dress, and I did apply to college, so like that's a good step, and I'm proud of myself for doing that.
Good. What do you dislike about yourself?
I feel like I don't care as much as I should, even though I try to like really put myself I try to put others like before myself a lot, but I feel like I can do more somehow.
You don't care. You said you wished you cared more, or that you feel you could care more.
Yeah.
Wonder what that is. Is that maybe because of the chaos you saw around you growing up, and um, maybe it felt uncontrollable. Maybe you felt out of control. Is that possible?
Yeah, that's possible, I think.
Yeah. Maybe it felt like it didn't matter what you wanted or what you did, that the next night mom and dad would be fighting again, and it would be horrible, and it didn't matter how you felt about it or what you wanted. I mean, if you moved out of your parents' house, it must have been something like that that took you out.
Yeah, I can
I'm
that
imagining, of
makes
course.
sense.
Um, so makes me wonder what that little kid inside of you wanted all those years, besides just for your parents to get along. Uh, what was that kid's dreams? What did that kid want for himself? What did that kid picture life being like when you were grown up?
Huh. I'm trying to think back to like what I wanted my future to be. I know for the longest time, like I wanted to have like a kid. That was probably the only like main goal I had in my life.
You wanted to have kids. That's beautiful. What are you going to study in college? You said you applied for college. What is it you want to study?
Well, I've kind of been back and forth with deciding. I mean, I'm going for IT now, but it was liberal arts, and then it was visual arts, and then it kind of just landed on IT.
Okay, IT is a good field. Um, you can spend a long time studying IT. There's a lot to learn there. It's something I wish I was better at. I wish I was better with computers. Uh, it's a great idea. Does that excite you? Do you get excited by the opportunities that might open up for you in life pursuing that path, or do you feel like you've settled into something? Is that, in other words, do you feel you chose that, or do you feel? I'm asking because it sounds like you flopped around a little bit with which is natural, of course. Like, you're going to college, you want to make sure you're studying something you want to study. But I'm trying to figure out, like,
Yeah.
have you settled into something that will keep you motivated and engaged in your life? Because I'm sensing, I can hear it in your voice. I can hear it in your voice that you're feeling a little apathetic, a little lethargic with life, a little burned out maybe. And I want to spend some time hearing what gets you out of bed in the morning, what gets you excited, and are you putting things into your life? Are you taking intentional steps to walk towards things that will excite you to wake up every day?
Well, the main reason I picked IT was just because I know that a lot of companies need IT workers. It's not really something that motivates me. It's just something I know I have to do to like support myself.
Right.
I wanted to do like visual arts, but I know there's not going to be any jobs for that. Like when I went to orientation at the college, almost everyone in there was going for visual arts, and it was just me and
Right. Do you like working with computers? Is it something that interests you? I'm not saying you got to be like, some people get a lot of value out of life from their work. Other people, in other words, some people live to work and some people work to live. You might be in the latter category. You might just be the kind of person that is better suited to, you might gravitate more towards thinking of work as a means to an end so that you can have your life separate just the way you want it. And there's nothing wrong with either of those. Of course, there's slippery slopes on both sides. On the living to work side of the slippery slope, a lot of people become workaholics and don't know how to manage work-life balance, and that's a struggle for those people. And then on the other side of the slippery slope, where people who work to live, the slippery slope is exactly where it sounds like you are, which is that you're struggling to find things in life that will that'll keep you feeling engaged. And so just to be very clear, I'm not trying to talk you out of studying IT. I think it's a great field, but you've called in and you're trying to figure out how to, the one word you used that's sticking out to me is care. You said you wished you cared more or something to that effect. And so I'm trying to think about that little boy that you were opening up about who just wanted his parents to get along. And of course, our childhood is, it impacts the rest of our life so much. It's a huge indicator of so many things, the way we grow up. And I feel like I hear the voice of that little boy here on this call. Of course, you sound like a grown man. You don't sound like a little boy, but what I'm hearing in the emotional content of what you're saying is that you're feeling a little lost and burned and maybe a little confused. And so I want to spend some time trying to encourage you that you can find that spark and you can get it back, and you can wake up in the morning with a direction that you feel good about in life, and you can chase that thing, whatever it is, whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship. But I'm zeroing in on this care thing because I really believe that's the best place to start. It sounds like you're looking for a reason to care. And is that right?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
If we don't care about things in life, then our life will fall apart because entropy, things fall apart unless they're maintained or cared for. Houses fall apart unless they are maintained. Relationships deteriorate unless people care about the relationships and take care of them. Everything in life dies eventually. Everything falls apart or is geared towards disorder. And so that's what makes humans amazing, is we're the only animal that has apparently, or at least for the time being, learned to manage entropy. And we do that through caring about things. If we don't care about our house, we won't take care of it. We'll let it fall apart. We'll let the universe slowly pull it apart. And so that's why I'm asking questions about what gets you feeling excited in the morning, what kinds of things do that for you, and how can you just, how can we get that little spark reignited? It won't happen on a short phone call here, of course, but This is a great question, and the chat is a lot of people in the chat seem like they're resonating with the question. So, what are you thinking when I talk about things falling apart unless they're maintained? That's just what the universe does, and does it encourage you or inspire you thinking about yourself being a human, being a that's what we're built to do, is to care and to find things in life that reward us, and that might not be easy for you, because if you've been taught not to care, or you've been taught that it doesn't matter what you care about, if you were conditioned that way as a kid, learning to peel back those layers and say, no, it does matter what I care about, and actually I do know what I care about. Those kinds of things might take time. If you were, if that tendency was squelched for you as a kid, if you were trained to not care, or trained that it didn't matter what you care about, this might be a long process for you. But you can find that inspiration, you can find that motivation, and life can feel beautiful. I believe that. What are you thinking as I'm saying these kinds of things?
It's just like I'm thinking back, so like when I was younger, and it's just now coming to me that like I used to want to be a therapist for the longest time, and it's kind of ironic because now recently I've been going to therapy myself.
Good.
I think I wanted to go to therapy when I was little, like when I was a young kid too, but my mom never took me, and I think I wanted to be a therapist at the time was just to try and figure out my own problems, I think. But there is a part of me that just wanted to help people too, because with the friends I had at the time, I was always their go-to person to talk about whatever problems they had.
I heard a little spark in your
But
voice as you were talking about wanting to be a therapist. I heard a side of you I hadn't heard up till that point. Sounds like that is something that
yeah,
you really care about.
yeah, I wanted to do I wanted to go to school for that, but I talked to my dad about it, and he kind of shut it down, just because
Hmm.
he said it was going to take forever, like 8 years, I think, or it might have been less than that. But he just doesn't want me to like. I'm 20 now, and I'm just now going to school, so he doesn't want me staying here until I'm 28. So it just wouldn't have worked out.
I see. Well, you can get self-sufficient through some IT work if that's something that's interesting to you and you feel you can carry that for some time. I mean, it would be a lot of work, but you can always go back to school later once your life is in your own hands and you're living alone. It would be a lot of work, but people do it. You could work for some time in some field that's good enough for now, and then get the training at nights to work towards that. And maybe that's a beautiful thing for you. Maybe that's a amazing goal for you, since it sounds like you need some good goals in your life. It sounds like you need some goals that you commit to and say, you might spend some time writing a list of things that you feel you'll still care about in 10 years. Make a list of things that you care about today that you'll still care about in 10, 20 years. Things that you can commit your life to. Things that you believe are important to commit your life to. Make a list of those things. And then think about them. Think about how you live your life now, and ways that you can improve yourself to be more aligned with those goals. And you can, again, like it sounds like this apathy or this lethargy is something that was really programmed into you a long time ago. So it's, again, I'm repeating, it could take a long time for you to unpack that and process it and work through it. And so some goals for you, some good long-term goals and some short-term goals might be a great thing for you to consider doing, so that you can remind yourself every day that you're waking up, why you're getting out of bed, why you're studying what you're studying, why you're going to mend a relationship that was broken. Because you're going to need some reminders, it sounds like, along the way. This isn't going to be short, most likely. This isn't going to be a short process. So having some reminders that you can keep in front of you is like a little totem to remind you why you're going where you're going. I've seen that be really helpful for people. What do you think about that idea?
Recently I kind of just have forgotten like why I get up sometimes. I just get up just to get up. I think just writing down the things I care about would be a really good start.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, it's not going to fix your problems, but it's a reminder to you what you care about. I'm trying to mention things that might just do that, just reignite that little, just a little spark. It's not none of this is gonna fix your problems, but I'm trying to give you some ideas that are simple. It sounds like you need to start in a simple place, because the fire has been put out, and that doesn't come back quickly, but it does come back, and it can come back, and it's gonna take work and care on your part and effort. And so some goals to kind of keep you oriented as you learn and grow. I think that's a really healthy practice for anyone. Everyone should have goals, not just people going through something like you're going through. Everyone should have a list of goals. Check out, I want to recommend a book to you. If I recommend a book, will you check it out?
Yeah. Let me get a pen right really quick so I can write it down.
I'll put it in the chat for you as well. This is a book called
Okay. Yeah.
This is a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. A bunch of people in this community have read this book. It comes up on the stream every now and then. It's a wildly popular book. It's sold over 1 million copies, I'm pretty sure. Pretty recent book. James Clear is the author. I'm putting this in the chat for you. And there's an audiobook. I've not heard the audiobook. I prefer to read books, but there is an audiobook if reading's difficult for you. So I'm putting this in for you now. You can review this part of the call later in the chat, and there's a link for you to the Goodreads. So you can kind of get a sense of the book's premise. But basically, it just walks you through establishing some really tiny productive steps in your life and habits that culminate in explosive changes in your life. It's not like fantastical or anything. It's not like The Secret or something like that. It's not like a book about magic or anything. It's just a book about structuring your life in a way that you can feel good about, and it doesn't tell you what to do. It just kind of gives you some basic ideas to kind of. It's just a very thought-provoking book. That's why I'm recommending you check it out, because it can be a great place to start if you're feeling a little unsure where to start or what first steps to make. And so that's why I'm recommending that. I think that'd be a great book for you to check out.
Yeah, I'll definitely look into it.
Great.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Of course. You might also check out, were you ever abused as a kid, or was it just were you just in a volatile house, or were you ever hurt, or trying to figure out how deep this goes?
Not physically, no, but I think I did go through a bunch of like emotional trauma growing up.
Okay.
Nothing physical though, no.
There's another good book about dealing with neglectful parents. The title is it's come up on this stream before, and I'm struggling to remember the title now. What is it called? Chat, if you can remember that book I've talked about here. It's hard for me to keep track of all these books now. I got to get better at this. Dealing with neglectful parents. What is this book? It's going to drive me nuts. I'm sorry, caller. I can't find this book so quickly. But there's a book about dealing with and we talked about it here before. Why can't I remember the name? Chat, do you have the name? I'm gonna look at the chat real quick. It doesn't look like chat has the name of the book either. Wow, we're worthless to you on this one. I'm really sorry. I'm trying to find it right now. I mean, I'm seeing some books on here that I haven't read that I could talk about. This one looks actually really popular. It's called A User's Guide to Neglectful Parenting. I'll put this in the chat, but I've not read this. I don't know. It's coming up as a related theme. Where is this book? Goodness gracious. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm going to put this book in here because it actually looks really popular. And I'll look for the book later too, and I might put it in the YouTube comments for you after once it's in the replay.
Yeah.
I'll try to look for it and put it there for you. But this is A User's Guide to Neglectful Parenting. Here we go. Okay. Sorry for the slowdown there, guys. I was looking really quickly. It was actually much. I wish you guys could have seen what I was seeing. I was like blowing through the entire internet trying to find this book. I feel like I failed you, caller, but this book actually does look good. I put it in the chat for you. A User's Guide to Neglectful Parenting. It's very popular, it looks like. And I like the artwork. So that's literally what I'm going on. I've not read this, but you might. I know there's a bunch of good books on this. There's two in particular that we've talked about here. It's not this one, but I will look for it later and put it in the comments for you. So just look for that. Sorry to leave you hanging on that. But where's your head at here? We're trying to keep these calls to about 30 minutes on this stream. So is there anything else you want to ask about or anything that wasn't unclear that you want to talk about again for the next few minutes here?
Not that I can currently think of. I do appreciate you sharing those books to me. I'll definitely look into them.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I think I'm good on everything.
I hear a slight uptick in your voice since you first started talking. I hope you can carry that into tomorrow. Maybe spend, I don't know what time it is where you are, don't tell us where you are, but you might maybe wind down tonight, just writing a couple thoughts down about things that are important to you so that you can wake up in the morning with something that you left for yourself today to remind you how you're feeling and where you want to go. And then you can work on that list tomorrow more or next week or whenever makes sense. But it might be a good idea to, if you felt good about this call, to take some time tonight, just 30 minutes maybe, and just write something down in a journal or a notes document and some thoughts you can wake up with tomorrow to keep the positive thoughts flowing.
All right. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind.
All
I
right.
really appreciate it, man.
Of course. Call back anytime. Take care of yourself. Good luck.
All right, guys. You too.
Good night. Okay. Chat lines are opening. We got about 35 minutes left here in this stream. If you're just joining, we're listening to calls on this stream. We don't know who's calling. We don't know what they're going to talk about, but we open up a place here where people can just talk about anything that's on their mind, get something off their chest, vent something, and the chat and I listen, and we give thoughts, ideas, empathy, and just general listening ears. So that's what we're doing here. This isn't entertaining. This isn't entertainment. We're just here trying to get people talking. We want to talk about real stuff. So here we go. Next call. Hi, thanks for calling.
Hey, Julian. I kind of resonated with the previous people about being stuck in life and taking advantage of yourself and stuff. I'm 28 years old, and I self-diagnosed myself with ADHD about a year and a half, and I read a couple books on it and saw some YouTube videos on it, but I've gotten to a place in life where I'm stuck with either ADHD paralysis or just everything in general, being burned out like y'all were talking about, and just not being social. and not applying myself. I look for jobs, but I can't get through the paperwork. It's such a hassle for me. But I never like fully complete a project. I don't follow up on the job.
Hmm.
And it's been a few years. I have other things. I've taken care of my parents. They're older. My mom's got schizophrenia, so I did have some childhood trauma, and now my dad's suffering with heart disease. So I'm here at home. I'm a brother. I have two other brothers, but they're out of state. Well, one's in state, but he's far. So I'm the smallest one, but I'm the one with the vehicle that takes care of everyone and stuff. So I've always felt this pressure from that too. But just like how you were talking about earlier, I'm not open with communication. I don't know how to take criticism well or just reciprocate. Well, some reciprocate pretty good, but it feels like a front that I put up like automatically because I just don't want to deal with people or the actual fact of what it is or what I'm facing or situation I'm going through. But yeah, it's been a few years, and I've gotten no luck with pushing myself to get a job and be a better person and be a better family member or just actually enjoy my life like how y'all were saying, and everyone's different. People work to live and people live to work, so
Right.
I still haven't figured out which one I have of those two, but that's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm getting old. I'm 28, 29, and shoot, I got nothing to show for it except for to just hard work ethic, and I can do like labor work. I can come up with any solutions to anything. I apply myself to some small community here, but other than that, if anyone asks, I am a yes man. I will say yes to whatever project. They need a new roof. They need this. They need that. I get it done. I'm bilingual, so I can do it. I just don't know how to really apply myself, and I've been stuck for a few years, man.
Okay.
So I don't know.
So you described yourself as a hard worker, but you're having trouble committing to doing the work.
Yeah. I am. From my size, my weight, I do anything and everything. I've been in and out of jobs in the big cities, small cities out here, and countryside, and I've done it. I've done what I could, but it's never been like a limiting factor that it was physical. I always mentally quit,
Mm-hmm.
or just somehow managed it to get out of the job without not quitting or something like that. It's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, but I don't know. I'm like, I feel like I'm dangerous to myself, and now I'm becoming more of a hazard than actually. I am taking care of my dad, and I'm taking care of my mom living 2 towns over, but I'm not feeling like I'm using my worth or what I'm supposed to be, a 30-year-old man. I don't have anything of I guess by a 30-year-old person, you're supposed to have something figured out, right? But I don't have
That's
that.
what they
I don't
say.
feel like I have that, and it's tough. It's been tough last 2 years. It was tough.
I feel like
know.
from hearing you talk, I'm thinking of the same book we talked about with the last caller. Did you hear us talking about Atomic Habits by James Clear in the last call?
Yes, I have a list of some books, and I need to. And see, I have the list, but I don't read them. But Atomic Habits, yes.
Why don't you, if you're interested in reading Atomic Habits, I'm not going to tell you to buy anything, but if you're, I'll say this: if that book sounds interesting, why not go get it right after the call? If it's something you seem like you want to, if it's something that seems like you want to read, why not go get it right after the call so you can avoid talking yourself out of it? This is ironically what Atomic Habits talks about. It talks about dealing with procrastination and things like this. So I'm asking for a reason why not to go get it right after the call. I'm not saying go do it. I'm asking, can you think of a good reason not to go get it right after the call?
No, you're right. I mean, there's the reason I even know I go to e-libraries. I used to read so much, but about 2 years ago, I completely stopped reading, except for one book, which was, I can't remember, but it was about ADHD. But I mean, yeah. See, so I self-sabotage myself. I don't know why. I've been in this. I see it as a regular habit, which is what you were saying as well, which is bad.
Yeah.
You see your habits, but you try to make thought of it, but you don't correct them. So it's like, oh man, you just keep going downhill, keep going spiraling downhill.
Does it help you at all to imagine yourself as the gladiator championing your family lineage? You're the latest, greatest born generation there is in your family. You are literally the most advanced generation that exists of your entire family history, all the way back to, as far as it goes, back to where, tens of, thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, however long ago that is. You are you're it, and you're here on this planet, representing your family and representing the things your family have lived through, and the things your families are good at, and also the things your families are not so good at. We all have, that's what any and all of us have to do. That's what we do in life, is we represent where we came from, and we are here today doing that. Every day we wake up, we're representing, and we're fighting for better. Not fighting each other like actual war, but like we have to push through things. Life's hard, and it's difficult, and there's entropy, and there's problems, and things fall apart. And does it motivate you at all to picture yourself as like this warrior gladiator, waking up every day to go to war against entropy and fight for what you want? And
hey, Julian, sorry, something came up with my dad. He's had heart issues.
Oh no.
I got to get on the atomic habit, but I'm gonna check out. Sorry about that. I've been a long time subscriber of you, so
no,
talk to you later. Sorry about that.
No problem. I understand. Wishing you the best of luck. Take care of your dad. I'm sorry to hear that. Take care.
Thank you.
Goodness. Caller, I just want to say to you, if you're watching this in the replay, I also wanted to acknowledge that you're under a lot, and you might be dealing with some burnout. So we didn't get a chance to get into that. I hope your dad's all right. But the way the call ended is case in point. Like, you're under a lot. You're caring for your parents. It sounds like you're carrying a lot of that load alone. So I want to encourage you to just be good to yourself in any time that you can. Take any chance you can to be good to yourself, and to put things into your life that you can look forward to, so that when you get through a long day, you have some time for you. Maybe it's not at the end of the day. Maybe you plan it in the middle of the day if that works better for you. But make sure you're taking that time for yourself to keep yourself feeling good about what you're doing, and don't. It sounds like you're under a lot right now, but that load will lift. Things won't stay like this forever. Okay, lines are opening, guys. We got about 25 minutes left in this stream, so let's see what we get into. Who's gonna call? Which one of you guys is gonna call now? Let's see. See what we get into. We should have a troll stream for all the trolls that come in here. We should just have a stream where the whole point is we open up phone lines for trolling. Is that even still trolling? Would that be considered trolling? That would be funny, though. You just let people do whatever they want. Free for all. believe lines are open. Yep, here they come. Okay. Hi, thanks for calling.
Hi. Hey, Julian.
Hello.
Good to talk to you.
Likewise, thanks for calling. What you want to talk about?
Oh, well, I'm, where do you start? A lot of the topics on your show have touched on my life as well. But more importantly, what I wanted to talk about is that I'm a little bit worried. I'm kind of in a tenuous place in my life. I feel like I've rounded the corner, lately, but I'm still a little bit worried about my relationship status. I've been interested in this person for quite a long time. Only just recently started dating them. It's a very good friend of mine, actually. We recently decided to kind of change up our relationship. I moved closer to them, and it just seemed like a natural place to start things. So going through like changing the nature of a relationship, kind of it's a process, because you already have established norms,
Right.
like so, and trying to change that also for them, there's like some well, obviously we're both humans, so we have our own challenges each. Mine conflict with theirs quite a bit, but we've always been amazed. We've always gone on like gangbusters. We're like two peas in a pod. But when you're, I'm worried because this person is, how do I'm trying to be as charitable as possible too. They've gone through a lot of difficulties in their life. I don't want to divulge too awful much that would be extremely specific, but that I guess the easiest way to say it is that they suffered a lot of abuse when they were very young, through when they were like kind of mid-teenage years, and that left them with obviously a lot of issues, but also they have a traumatic brain injury. They have TBI. They actually have a brain injury in a part of their brain that kind of limits. I swear I'm not being in troll. I mean, I swear I want to talk about it, but it limits their fuzzy feelings, their
Your connection's a little loose.
everything else.
Are you in a good signal area? I'm missing some words. I want to be able to.
I am. I can move over here and stop pacing like a maniac. Sorry.
No, I understand. I pace when I talk to. You're not a maniac. Maybe we're both maniacs.
It doesn't sound like it's a very bad thing to be if you're a maniac.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I just want to be able to hear what you're saying. That's all. So you're saying your partner has a traumatic brain injury, and you're kind of going into some detail on what worries you about the state of the relationship.
Yeah. So I'm a little. So I don't know 100% if they use the word right, but I understand what they mean when they say they're asexual. It doesn't mean what they think that it means, but I believe them to an extent, right? Like they always mess up with some kind of words. But long story short, they have a traumatic brain injury, but then also on top of that, they have this huge hurdle of past abuses to get over, and it's just really sad for me to see. But they also have to be on medication, obviously. So all the like fuzzy, warm, oxytocin inducing "I love you" type feeling are just very, very muted in this person. But I've known them for a very long time. Like we care about each other very much in a whole lot of ways, and it's been something that's kind of been on my mind. Lately, things have been better. We've been making more time together. I actually just moved, so this is like a recent change for me. So yeah, we have a lot of history together. My complications from my side are specific in their own way. I spent a lot of time alone and wishing that I had a relationship. So I've kind of been on the opposite side. I've been on the outside looking in. So whereas they've kind of always had the opportunity for relationships, I've always had the desire. So it might seem like a bit of a mismatch, but I've always been kind of gregarious, whereas they're kind of a little bit more muted. They expressed concerns to me that I wouldn't get what I wanted out of the relationship, and I told them about that. I didn't freak out about that. I didn't, because a big part of the reason why I moved in the first place was because I really enjoy being around this person, and I've always really had a very deep attraction for them specifically. This is, 7 years is a long time to get to know somebody already.
Mm-hmm.
But I go back to my original, trying to change the state of the relationship. We both are, and they're doing what they can. We're both pretty busy. We're both really very highly scheduled people. We don't really have an awful lot of free time. So it's us putting that time aside has given me lately a whole lot of hope. I actually wanted to call in on a previous show quite a while ago, some weeks ago, but I never quite got around to it until today. So that's my introduction. That's where I'm at.
Okay. So you mentioned that the warm fuzzies have worn off in the relationship, or that they're not present there. I believe you said they weren't present there.
No. Their ability to feel those things
right.
in general
is
very suppressed.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I butchered it.
Technically, it's suppressed psychologically.
Yeah, I totally gathered that. I just butchered it in my recap. Sorry. But yeah, I get the fact that you really care about this person. You're really attracted to this person, but it's difficult for you.
Very much so.
It's difficult for you not feeling certain things reciprocated in the relationship. And do you feel invisible or something? Or do you feel underappreciated? Or how would you put it?
I did that for a little bit, actually, yeah. When I moved, I kind of, because we knew we were going to try and change the state of this relationship from just being really good friends to maybe a little bit more than friends. And I kind of somewhat egotistically sort of expected a little bit more fanfare. But they have been, for them, what they have done is incredible, and it has given me a little bit of hope. That's why I say I kind of rounded a corner in that. Because when I originally decided that I wanted to call into the show or just pick your brain, I guess, I was pretty down. Yeah, I was feeling pretty underappreciated and pretty invisible. They have made an effort a little bit more lately. I am under no misgivings about any of this. These are the kind of things that take a great deal of time, oftentimes, especially given their situation. They have a lot of reasons to take things very slowly, and I'm just kind of wondering how this all turns out, and it's a little bit. It freaks me out, I don't run into a whole lot of things that freak me out in the world, but
yeah.
I don't know, man. It gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Is it possible you're mismatched? Is it possible this isn't a healthy relationship for you?
Well, it could be, yeah. I'm not going to say that it's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
It would certainly be a new mistake for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 33. I've never made this mistake before.
Okay. Yeah. People. We can't change people. I don't know if. I know that myself, I've gotten into some relationships before where I felt like I was going to be like people could change, and I could be like a good motivation for change, or I could teach people something, in a relationship, and that's just not how relationships work. I wonder if there's an element of that for you, where you felt like you might be some kind of white knight or something like that, the hero in shining armor.
Oh, you.
What's that?
Please, I hope not.
You don't. So that's not why you're in the relationship. You're not expecting that you could change your partner or that you could help your partner.
Well, I would hope that we could help each other.
Well, of course, yeah,
In a
of
lot
course.
of things, but not in the way that, like, I'm going to just fly in and save this person like Superman. I don't do that anymore. I have
Right.
done that mistake before.
Okay,
That
so
was
it's not
fun.
that. That's good to hear.
I would like very much not to ever do that again.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
The reason why I felt like this was... Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, the reason why I felt like this was possible in the first place is because I do know they open up really slowly in relationships, and for many years they don't have an awful lot of experience. They've been kind of driven in their own life to be a little bit more focused on the material and the here and the now and other types of relationships. They haven't really had much of an opportunity to put any kind of stock into romantic relationships, or pair bonded relationships, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
I'm not. I'm not. Man, how do I put it? I'm trying to keep things PG rated, but
That's okay. Say what you gotta
mentioned
say.
that there is a very deep and broad mismatch between our characteristics for wanting physical contact.
Is there a libido
for instance,
mismatch?
They don't really like to be touched.
Oh, I see. So is it a libido mismatch, but also she's just not very affectionate?
Not very physically affectionate, like touch. Touch is something that has very much been lacking in my own life for a very long time. And as much as I would like to remedy that, but it's not like an emergency thing. It's like I was born of this, that's just kind of Tuesday for me. So I don't really feel anymore. I definitely did when I first started thinking about calling in, but I'm not. It's not really an emergency, if that makes
Right.
sense.
I missed everything you just said there. Well, can you repeat that last bit? I'm catching some words. It's a little rocky.
Let me try the other side of the house.
Now I got you now. What was that last bit you said?
Is that better?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, what was the last thing you heard?
You were talking about you were clarifying that they are just physically unaffectionate, and I can't remember precisely where I lost you, but you were clarifying that it's not just a libido mismatch.
Yeah, it's not just a libido mismatch. They don't really feel an awful lot of pull to be libidinous.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's I knew this person for like 7 years. Like, this is not news to me.
Right.
So I kind of knew what I signed up for.
Yeah.
And again, yes, I do enjoy this thing, but as far as me, don't feel bad about me too awful much for lacking this thing, because again, I've had somewhat limited ability to get the relationship in the first place, to have one. Earlier on in my life, as I became an adult, I kind of slowly woke up and realized the power that I held, to draw people to me. You don't really have to look for opportunities when they come to you. And once you're quite a bit more confident in yourself, this is just my experience. I noticed a lot more people coming to me if I put myself out there to be noticed in the first place. So, I mean, I could get the thing, but that was never really the impetus for any of this in the first place. Like, a little bit more physical contact would be good, but I also know this person warms up to that over time. And that is history they've had before. Like, that's just kind of how they operate. But the difference is, 7 years, and this has never been. This is a story they've never had to write before themselves either. I'm pretty guaranteed that this is a one-off. This is something incredibly different for them too. But I don't know.
Yeah. Garfield Arbuckle from the chat says, your partner's been completely honest with you. I think you should do the same. You need to make time. And then they go on to say, they need to make time. I think they're talking about you and your partner. They need to make time and talk about this. No way around it. I do think I agree with that. It sounds like you've not been as forthcoming as you could be with what's important to you in the relationship and what's not there, and your concern about that. And I do think I agree that there's a conversation coming where, and it might be difficult for you because you can't put your partner on the defensive. You can't make your partner feel like you're accusing them of something. Of course, like they're their own person. Yeah, I get that sense from you.
Not after everything they've been through.
I get that sense that you'd be very tactful. But I agree that your partner has been very honest with you. And so, returning that, reciprocating that is the only thing left for you to do in the relationship. That's what a relationship is. It's a give and take. And you've taken her words, but you've not given as much clarity on what's important to you, it sounds like.
So you think I should be more vocal about what it is that I want?
Absolutely. Because if she can't give it to you, if they can't give it to you, then neither of you should be in the relationship probably. If it's just a complete mismatch, maybe you guys would make better friends. I'm not going to tell you to do it. I'm not going to tell you to break up with your girlfriend here or anything like that. It's not what we do here. But definitely, your values are important. Your values are valuable. Absolutely, you should talk about what's important to you in the relationship and see if it's something that sounds good to your partner or not. Because that's the only way you find out. That's the only way you know.
I would love to have this conversation. And you're right, if it does turn out to be a total mismatch, like I said, I've never done this mistake before. So I can't be too mad at myself for making it now.
Yeah. Off court from the chat.
When I signed on for this, sorry.
I was just going to highlight something from the chat real quick from off core. One of our mods says to you,
yeah, I'm not looking at it.
How can you have a relationship if you can't openly talk about your needs? That's what a relationship is. You got to talk it out. What were you going to say?
Talking time is limited, and it's a lot of ground. We can make our concerns known to each other. I don't know that we're really going to put the rubber stamp on one way, yes, right. When I started this whole endeavor, when I said to myself, yep, that sounds like a great idea, I really did know that this is going to be like a 1-2 long kind of working through how we evolve that relationship together. And it may not work. I think given both of our histories, maybe even the deck is stacked against us. Maybe you're right. Maybe we're just too mismatched and it's never going to fly. But I don't know. Maybe we do make better friends, but I would very much like for this person to be my partner. I don't know, man. There's a lot of things that I really admire about them. The physical component is definitely not meaningless, but in the short term, it doesn't feel as important.
Whatever's important to you is important. It's just a matter of if you're in the right relationship. Of course, none of us can tell you here if you're in the right relationship. We're not going to try to. But of course, it's a possibility in any relationship that you're mismatched. Any relationship is vulnerable to that. So, yeah, totally. People change, and some people change, and they change in ways that we don't always expect, or or want sometimes. We sometimes we want people to change, and they can't change those things about them, but they change other things, and you're like, wow, now you just changed all these other things. Who are you? I don't, like it can be disorienting. But like this is a special person to you, is what I'm hearing, and then they were special to you long before you were dating. So, this person will probably continue being special to you no matter what. And what the chat and I are trying to encourage you to do is to be more open with how you feel. Make that time for those conversations. If you don't have time to talk,
well, how would you approach that?
You could say,
It just I tend to be a Band-Aid ripper. I tend to go straight at things. I know that may not sound like that's really my communication style, but when it comes to potentially, I wouldn't really use the word conflict. It doesn't quite fit. I can't think of the vocab word at the moment, but when it comes to like sitting down and discussing anything difficult, really, I really do kind of just want to just get to it. So.
Yeah, well, some words to kind of cushion the conversation and create a safe. Your words can create a safe place for a certain kind of conversation to happen, and
I hope so.
And your words can give the context for what you're after, and the mood that you're in and how you feel about it. Your words will do all. It's not even that they can. Your words will set the tone for what's going to happen. So some cushion on the front end is definitely going to help any conversation go better. You open it by saying, painting the picture of what it's about for you. I care about this relationship. I care about the time we commit to each other, and I want to make sure that you're getting what you need, and that I'm getting what I need, and that neither of us is taking too much from the other, and that we're both getting at the same time the value from this relationship we'd hoped for. And also, since you're not just somebody I've just started dating, since you're an old friend that I really care about, it's even more so important to me that I be very careful and respectful in this conversation, because I would never want to hurt your feelings or put you off. And I want to talk about some things that have been on my mind in a way that can bring us closer together and give us clarity on what we can expect from each other, or something like that. I'm just spitballing here, but just some kind of context like that, giving them clarity on why it is you want to have this conversation, and making it about the relationship, and not just like, I'm not feeling very happy. Like those kinds of words could, put the conversation in a level you don't want it to be on. So, your words, that's why I say your words will set the tone for the conversation. And so choose those words carefully and put them on make it clear that your effort is in pursuit of a better relationship, and for both of you, not just for you, but for both of you. Because if it's a mismatch, it's bad for her too. That's the point. Or I don't know. I don't know if you've said it's a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a part. I don't know how your partner identifies.
She, girlfriend.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah. So does that help?
It does. The only tweak I would make is that I'm not really. I mean, I guess you take risks in relationships to an extent. So I guess there's the possibility to destroy the friendship, but I really don't see that happening. I think we're both respectful of each other, and I do want to always respect their boundaries, and they definitely respect mine. So we're not really gonna go to that really angry place where you have a bad breakup. I don't ever see that happening with this person. It's one of the most beautiful things that I can see about him. If you think I'm blunt, oh my goodness, you have never met this woman. Again, their frontal lobe damage will make you incredibly, definitely a Band-Aid ripper in spades. I have nothing on this person.
Right.
So she has absolutely no problem telling me how she feels. We actually did kind of have a little bit of a blur. She called me in a little bit of distress, saying, I'm worried that you're not going to get what you want out of this relationship. And that really put me back on my feet. And I sat back and I thought about it for a minute. Before I spoke, I was like, I kind of approached it as, what does that mean? Well, they are afraid that I'm not going to feel as gratified as I could be. I'm not going to feel like I have enough touch or enough this or enough that. But with this person, that increases over time only. It doesn't go the opposite direction typically. When they're having a bad day, or when they just really, not everybody is exactly the same in terms of what they want all the time. But that, for them, does tend to change over time. And that's demonstrable in their history. Like, it does, that needle does move, despite all of the roadblocks they have in their way, the abuse and the medication and the traumatic brain injury and all of that.
Right.
So, I mean, I know things do get different later. I have really no reason not to be incredibly patient with this person, though. I can't figure a reason. Well, what am I going to do? It matters so much to me to have physical gratification. That is, no, you're not worth a year of my time. I mean, we've already spent 7 getting to know each other. What's one more?
Well,
I really don't feel like I need anything right now. Well, it doesn't feel like as much of an emergency since we've kind of hashed that out a little bit.
Well, of course,
I'm actually incredibly hopeful now. I decided that I wanted to call the show like weeks ago, remember?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't doubt you. I also don't know you, and all I know is what you've told me, but I'm sensing kind of some mixed messages that, I mean, you have called in here with some concerns about the relationship. Of course, none of us are going to tell you what to do or give you like, we're giving you some ideas on how you might approach some conversations, but we're not here to tell you like break up with this person or not. That's not what we're doing here. But I did pick up on some mixed messages there. You said that what I hear you saying, the mixed message I heard, and then I'll tell you what I hear you saying. The mixed message to me is that, first of all, you called in here, and this has all been about the relationship for you. And then you said that it's not really that. You just mentioned it wasn't that important, or for you to. These things aren't so important that you couldn't be more patient. And of course, patience is a virtue in a relationship for a reason. It's a valuable skill, and it's a valuable practice. Of course, if we don't have patience in our relationships are going to be a mess and horrible and unenjoyable. So of course you got to have patience. But it sounded like you were downplaying the importance of these things to you at the tail end of what you just said there. And I would encourage you not to do that. I would encourage you to acknowledge it's okay for things to be important to you. There has to be something that's important to you or pivotal in the relationship or monumental, paramount. There has to be something for you in the relationship like that. Otherwise, you would have never gotten into a relationship. So it's okay, and that's okay to have those things. It's healthy to have those things. Otherwise, what does the relationship stand on? So I am not telling you to do anything, but I am suggesting that it's okay and actually I'd be concerned if there wasn't something important to you in the relationship. And you've called in here, and we've talked for about half an hour. The call will be winding down soon. We're going to be ending the stream here in a minute or two. And I want to make sure that you're not leaving here feeling confused. I want to make sure that you leave here with some new thought or helpful tidbit of encouragement that you didn't have before. And I don't want you to backpedal or feel like you can't have things that are important to you. I mean, if your partner isn't going to, if it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to learn to be more affectionate for you, then I would say that maybe, at least maybe, there's something to say about not being patient with that. Not to say you got to give them a hard time, but like, don't wait on things that aren't going to change. In other words, don't waste your time in a relationship where and I'm not making it specifically about this person, but like in any relationship, if there's an unchangeable dynamic, people are just hurting it. It's painful to stay in a relationship like that, and the longer you stay in, the more painful it is.
I had worried about that.
And that's okay.
Still don't think I'd say quit.
Yeah.
At least not automatically. It's not a rule out.
Yeah, I think it's just a conversation. I don't think any decision needs to be made. I think you just maybe there's some reason you don't feel comfortable leveling with your partner and telling her how you feel. Maybe you're scared to talk about this for some reason, but don't let yourself talk yourself out of this conversation. If there's anything worth saying to please do, it's to do this one thing, to have this conversation. Again, like, great way to say it is, a framework, a great framework for saying it. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but a great framework for saying it is something like, I want to make sure I'm giving you what you need, and I want to make sure that I'm also getting what I need, and I want to make sure that neither of us is taking too much from each other in that. That's a great framework for any kind of confrontation or difficult conversation, opening it up in a way where you're leveling the playing field. You're making the other person involved feel included and valued and appreciated and understood as a unique individual. I'm sensing that maybe you're nervous about a conversation like this, but if you open it up with that kind of a framework, you'd be amazed the kinds of conversations you can have if the other person feels safe to enter into it.
Oh, I hope more than one.
Yeah, surely.
Many conversations.
Surely, yeah. But specifically this one, because it sounds important to you. You called in here and spent half an hour on the phone with me and sharing with the chat. So I guess we're not going to let you back off too easily like this isn't important, because I don't want to see you talk yourself out of something that could be a really fruitful conversation for both of you guys.
Yeah.
That's all. It's okay for it to be important. I hope there's something important to you that would alter the dynamic of the relationship if it stopped, or, we all have something like that. That's an axiom. We all have axioms. And that's what makes relationships tricky. But, conversation is the only way you get through that. It's the only way you know if you're investing in the relationship wisely or if it's wasting time. And the sooner you find that out through conversation, the better. Especially if it's somebody that you really care about and would want to keep being friends with if the relationship ended.
No, I don't want to lose them.
I don't want to dump a bunch of bricks on you.
I don't. So,
yeah, I'm not trying to dump a bunch of bricks on you, and we do need to wind down the stream, unfortunately, tonight. But are there any closing thoughts or questions, or how you feeling? Like, was this okay? Was this good for you? Or like, we haven't confused you too much, have we? I'm trying to lean into the stuff I heard you say and just kind of repeat those words back to you. So I hope it's been clear what my goal has been.
I got a lot to think about. I think maybe I have more to talk about than I have to think about. Just being busy with our own individual lives, meaning that we don't have a whole lot of time together. Obviously, we don't live together, so it is one of those tricky things. It's like, when you can find time. Could we, by the way, maybe possibly have an extremely important conversation? If we could just set aside, a few hours for that, great.
Why don't you make it a 2-hour conversation? Yeah. Say, like, can we make 2 hours? I want to share for an hour. Or I want to share for 45 minutes. You share for 45 minutes, and then we'll talk for the rest of the time about, like, we'll close it up. We'll have like 30 minutes at the end, or something like that. It's like, you don't want to make it like a big laborious thing. It's like 3 hours. Like, make it an hour and a half, 2 hours, and just clearly define, like, I'm going to share for a little bit. I want you to share. It sounds like it's your bag, so you might have to lead. You might have to open up and share what's on your mind first. Maybe it's like, I'm going to take the 45 minutes, you take 45, and then we'll talk about whatever's left at the end. and a couple hours feels manageable if the but you don't want to scare her off. And the entryway and the exit of the conversation will be the hardest part. And if you do the beginning right, the middle will be the easiest part. The part that you're most scared of, the middle, where you're actually talking about it, that part will be the easiest part if you can find a good framework for opening it up to where she feels safe and doesn't feel attacked or on the spot or like she's got to change something. If she feels safe to be herself and say like, yeah, that's just, your home run is making her feel completely comfortable saying, yeah, that's not me, and I'm really sorry. That's not ever going to be me. You're trying to figure out if that's true. And getting into that will be the hardest part, but actually talking about it will be the easiest part. If you set it up right.
Well, I hope so. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, I wish you the best in chewing on this and hopefully getting into this good talk with your partner. I do think this could be a great thing for you guys. I'm not looking to mess anything up, or I think this is what relationships are about. So I'm just trying to encourage you not to be afraid of it. Would hope to hear a good update from you in the future. Are you on our Discord server? Where we kind of...
I am not, but you might see me around.
Okay. Yeah, well, we'd love to hear a good update from you in there, or call back in if you want, if that would be helpful.
Well, thanks for the time, and thanks for having the show.
Thanks for calling.
Thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
Of course.
I feel a lot more ready to have that conversation.
Good. Great. Awesome. Amazing. Hey, let's I feel like we got to give some applause to this caller. You've made a big transformation here. You were really nervous. You were a little this isn't a judgment, but I sensed that the more we got into the conversation, you kind of wanted to backpedal a little bit, and you stuck with us, and you just said you're feeling better. And I want to send you off with some encouragement and some enthusiasm. So let's have some applause. All right, we're wishing you the best. Hoping to hear from you again. Take care.
Have a great night.
You too. Wow, guys, another beautiful night. Thank you guys so much for always making this a great time. I love this project. I love doing these streams. I love how intimate and immediate it feels. I love how it's just we never know what's going to make these engaging, and nothing's planned. And I just love that about this. And I love the kind of calls we get into. So thank you guys for contributing thoughts in the chat. Huge shout out to our mods, who are awesome. We love our mods. We love our mods if you're not a troll. Everyone here loves the mods. Unless you're a troll, then you hate the mods. But tonight we had Offcore, Deanna Krebs, and those are the only two names I remember seeing throughout the stream from the mods. I'm pretty sure it's just you two tonight. You guys there's a dynamic duo tonight. Thank you so much for keeping us on topic and for the thoughts you shared. And again, thanks to the chat for all the thoughts and for being here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for giving your time. And we do this 3 times a week. We'll be here again Thursday. We do these Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, 9 p.m. Central. It's 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And tomorrow we'll be doing a little stream around 3 p.m. Central. So don't miss that. That one's going to be a goofier stream. I'm not going to tell you what we're doing yet. But I try to do some fun streams too, where we get a little goofier and then just who knows what's going to happen. So don't miss that. And I will see you guys tomorrow, 3 p.m. And then we'll be back here for Anonymous Live Thursday at the same time. Take care. Good night, everybody.